All right. Welcome to another edition of Beyond the Game presented by TV Sports. I'm your host, Steve Hayes, and today we have Jack of all trades, NBA, ESPN reporter, journalist, boxing reporter, do it all, Eric Woodyard. Eric,
Man,
how you
appreciate it,
doing,
man.
man?
Good, man. We gotta get it, man, by any means. So definitely, I appreciate you having me, man.
Oh, no problem. I appreciate you taking the time out. I
Yeah.
really want to jump into it, man, because I don't follow your story. Um, I know you went to Western Michigan,
hmm
but how the Eric Woodyard that you see today?
hmm
How did it all start? How did you go from where you started to become the man you are today?
Man, well, growing up in Flint, especially when I was younger, we had the Flintstones with Mateen and all those guys. So 2000, man, I was what, about 12 years old, so
Mm-hmm.
they were so accessible as far as just where we could go into. They used to have a pro-am league here, and it'd be all type of pros, and they was touchable. We could see them,
Mm-hmm.
touch them. You know what I'm saying? Really be around and pick their brain. So, everybody wanted to go to the league at that time. I ain't gonna lie,
Right.
but you get to a
Right.
point in your life, you like, man, yeah, I love basketball, but I'm not good enough to go to that next level. So, you know, honestly, you got to have that soul searching with yourself. And I had a teacher in high school. She told me I was a good writer, and from there, I kind of just really went to school one day, and once it was time to go to Western Michigan, and I was like, what could I do to mix basketball and writing? Journalism was kind of what they told me, and from there I just took it seriously, man, and came back home. I worked at the Flint Journal and M Live for 6 years, and then I went out to Salt Lake City in Utah for 2 years, and then ESPN, kind of recruited me, man, and I went through that whole process, and now I got the whole Midwest region of the NBA, and then I branched off, as you said, in the boxing and just trying to do it all, man, trying to get it, So that's really kind of how I got in the, position I'm in now.
Now, I want to touch back. You when you said Salt Lake City, you went Desert News, right?
Yeah, yeah, Desert
So
News, yeah.
that I know you said you had some friends and stuff that was like, man, you serious? You crazy? You gonna go out there? And at the
Man,
time when
they
you went
thought I
out
was
there,
nuts.
Gordon Hayward was gone, right?
Yeah.
So you
He
you
was gone,
really
man.
took a
So,
chance. You really took a
man, I
stab in the
swear
dark with
everything.
that one.
But they took a chance on me too, man. Like, throughout my interview process, I was constantly applying for jobs over and over, and they would be like, man, you need more experience or you need this and that. And I'm like, how could I get more experience? I've done pretty much all I could do in this market, man. I covered, Clarissa Shields from when she was like
Mm-hmm.
15 years old. And,
Yep.
we had Monte Morris and Kyle Kuzma and Miles Bridges and Anthony Durrell on the boxing side, Andre
Yep.
Burrell. It was so much going on. And I got a chance to cover all that. It's like, it's really nothing else I could do. So when Salt Lake City came around, man, I just thought it was a great opportunity. And I just took the chance, man. And they took a chance on me too. And we just vibe, man. It was just a perfect storm for me in my life at that time. I felt like I needed that. And Donovan Mitchell came out of nowhere, man. And that
Yes.
just kind of changed my career. But I was already used to covering guys like him because I was around Monte and all those guys young.
Right.
So man, it's just, man, shout out to Utah. I'm gonna always have love and respect for that place, man, because it changed my life for real, man.
Now, when you were, I know before you got to Utah, ESPN had recruited you way back in the day, right?
Yeah, it was like the most basic job though, like to be a production assistant. You know what I mean?
Uh-huh.
And that was like cutting highlights. You know what I'm saying? Like it was like really really basic. And
Mm-hmm.
at the time, man, I talked to Chris Bouchard. I'm in the NABJ, so Black Journalists National
Yep.
Association of Black Journalists. So guys like that are very accessible. So I talked to Chris Bouchard, and he was like, man, I told him what was going on. And he was like, man, go back home. You know what I'm saying? And make an impact there. He said, man, I don't know if he really meant it, but he was like, you get good enough, ESPN gonna come hollering at you, years later. And it's crazy, man. 10 years later, that it played out like that by just taking that opportunity of coming back home and learning. I was given a chance to make mistakes here. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And I'm in Flint now. That's what I'm saying here. Make mistakes, and then I got out to Salt Lake, and it was so easy because I was used to covering so much stuff. So where when I got a chance to focus on one team, I felt like it was like easy. You know what I mean? And those guys was great, man. Like I said, working with Donovan those first 2 years, and it's just something I'll never forget, man. And then now ESPN just taking that jump, But I've appreciated every step of the way, the journey, man. And I'm still in the beginning. I feel like I'm just getting started.
Now, I know you said you had the experience with Andre Anthony Jarrell, Clarissa Shields, but you got out there in the gate because one of your first big gigs was Allen Iverson, right?
Yeah. So once I was in college, I was reaching out to different publications, and the Slam
Mhm.
magazine was one that I loved as a kid. And I literally was
Yes,
like
absolutely.
on the internet one night, like I found the editor's email address, I emailed them, and they responded, and they were starting like that's kind of like it seemed funny that I'm not old now, but like in like '08 or '09, the internet still wasn't really just like what
It
it is
was
today.
not.
So like
It was
teams were
not.
still figuring out how to do digital coverage. So like I was kind of like in the beginning of that phase, and like the first game I went to was the Pistons and the Celtics, and that was Iverson's first home game. So I walk in the
Wow.
locker room, AI sitting in the locker room. My mind, we from Michigan. I know what AI probably means
Right,
to
right.
me. I know what he meant to me. So I walk in there, it's AI just in the locker room, and come in there and see him, and that's the first time I ever been starstruck. I called my mom. I'm like, man, I can't believe AI. I said it. From there, it just kind of got easier. You know what I mean? It got easier and easier, and that kind of prepared me to get to the level now. But that first time seeing AI, I ain't gonna lie, man, I was tripping. And they bought. I remember the Pistons equipment manager. He brought like 2 pair of shoes back there for Iverson. It was the original questions and whatever the AIs was at that time.
Oh my
And
goodness,
Iverson
man.
picked the other ones. I was like, man, why you ain't wear the cut? Since I wanted to say that, but because I was only like 19, man. So I mean, that was just moments like that you sit back and reflect on, and it's a blessing, man, just to have those journeys and those experiences. And then, now my young son in the basketball, so it's just fun to just
Mhm.
bond with him in that way too.
So what has it been like for you, man? Like, during the pandemic and everything, obviously being in this field, being in the sports area field, and everything kind of abruptly went to a halt. So
Right.
where did your mindset go? How did you continue to stay positive through this?
Man, honestly, coming back home and being around my son and my family, that's really what, going back to your roots and understand what's important to you. And that's what kept me grounded throughout this process, man. And, work was work, that's going to be there. But I think in this time, we really learn, who you are. You learn who important to you. You put everything in perspective because everything stopped. It don't matter about, none of that stuff. It don't matter about who you're around, followers, Instagram, none of that. It's about your family, who you're around. So, like, I got a chance to, like, I was gone for 3 years. You know what I mean? So I was coming back regularly all the time, but it's nothing like being day to day around your people, your loved ones. So this like put everything in perspective, put life in perspective for me. And the pandemic has been great to me, man. I can't lie. I'm still in Michigan until everything clears back up, but man, it's been a blessing, man. Honestly, this time out. Shout out to the pandemic for real because it put everything in perspective.
I always tell people that the pandemic obviously is two sides of the coin. You got people who I've definitely lost family members, and at the same time, it's a big life lesson for everybody. It's one of those life lessons that you have to, if you can endure this, if you can get through this, if you can overcome this adversity, then you understand who you are really. Like
Right,
that's where you understand everything about you. And like you
right,
said, the most important thing, none of the followers or anything matters, is about family.
right,
And that's when this time is supposed to draw you closer, is when you know what I'm saying, get with your family and everything like that.
right.
Um, I wanted to kind of touch on your time at Western Michigan and what did it mean to you to be an alumni of Western Michigan, and how did that help you to your path today?
Man, I love Western, man. Like from the day of me deciding to come there, it's been a life changer to me. Just like how I look at Salt Lake City, I look at Kalamazoo the same way. Because for me, everybody went to Michigan State, as I mentioned before, what the Flintstones means to the Flint community, what that organization and Izzo taking a chance on those guys. And I always wanted to go to Michigan State, and that was the first school to accept me. But I remember I was in class one day, and we were talking. I was like one of the first people to get accepted there, and it was like 10 of my classmates that was going to state. And I'm like, man, like I'm straight on state, man. Like I want to go somewhere and get away because I feel like if I went there, I was gonna be around all the same people. I wasn't gonna like be challenged mentally to think outside the box. Even though I was from the hood of Flint, I was thinking on that level. I want to change my family. I want to do something that's different nobody's ever done. So I remember we had like a college, one of those career days or something like that, career fair,
Mhm.
and Western Michigan was one of the schools there. And I don't know, I just took a trip down there. It was like 2 hours away outside of Flint, and took that drive down there, and I went around campus. I walked around. I felt the spirit of it. And I was like, man, this is school for me. Once again, my mama like, because me and my cousin was gonna go to state together and be roommates and all that. And she was like, man, why the hell are you going to Kalamazoo? And I was like, I just love it here. I love the feeling. I love the vibe. And once I got there, it challenged me mentally. Everything that I thought it would do, it challenged me. I had a teacher there. Shout out to Sue Ellen Christian. She's still a great mentor to me to this day. And man, just shout out to her and shout out to Western because it was big enough, but it wasn't too big to where I felt, I didn't feel intimidated. You know what I mean? I felt that I was a person that mattered there. Even to this day, my teachers still send my son gifts and gear, and they check in with me. And I always go back, and it always feel like home, man. So that changed me. I remember like just simple things of like when you growing up in a community like Flint, walking in stores, you always got to look over your shoulders and always just things like that. And when I got there, it was like totally free. It wasn't bulletproof glass everywhere you go. Like in Flint, sometimes like I didn't even notice that. Like you go to the local anywhere, man, and it's bulletproof glass. I ain't understand this when you go other places, it's not like that everywhere. You know what I'm saying? So like just experiencing the small things like that, cultural differences, like that was my first change of something like that.
That's actually important that you said that because a lot of people don't realize how big that is. Me growing up on the southwest side of Detroit, same thing. Bulletproof glass everywhere. There were streets that my mama and pops told you cannot go down. You couldn't walk down these streets to play. So when you in a situation where you have it's just all open, like open areas, everything is free for all. You could play here or you could walk in here. It actually puts a different perspective in your mind because go ahead.
Yeah, and I was saying because when I came home, I didn't understand like how no disrespect, but people could be rude. You know what I'm saying? Like just simple things, of holding the door, like or just saying what's up. You know what I'm saying? Everybody tense, everybody on the edge because it's so much crime and anything can pop off at any moment. So everybody just kind of on the edge. So until I went away, I didn't understand that. When I would come back, I'm like, damn, like it really is. That's when I really realized that Flint bad. Before that, I'm like, okay, I see all the reports and all that, but it ain't as bad as they say. But when I came back and seen somewhere else, I'm like, man, it is bad like that. You know what I'm saying? That's when they kind of put, what I had to go through in the adversity to get to the next level. It kind of put it in perspective because before that, I didn't think it was a big deal. Like, yeah, I'm from Flint, but like, what's the big deal about coming from this place? It ain't no different than nowhere else. So that kind of put it in perspective for me.
Yeah, and I feel you on that because like you could just certain situations sometimes, man, a bad situation can be created from nothing. It was actually nothing sometimes. You see a guy riding down the street or whatever, and you just he look, and it's a grim mode, and it's like, it ain't even have to be that way. Like it's just a staring contest, and it ain't always, like you said, a tense situation. It's not always the case. So I'm actually glad that you were able to see that, you know what I'm saying, and look at the difference because that's what we need. We need different perspectives on things. I know you, like I said, you got a busy schedule when we talk. You said the NBA.
Man, you good, man. I'm digging the conversation. I'm digging the vibe, man. Whatever, man. You got my time. You got my attention, man. We good.
So the NBA season coming up, it's preseason's underway. How do you feel about this NBA season? What are your thoughts? Obviously, it's still in, no fans and everything like that, so it's still a little different. But it's not the bubble per se. Everybody get to play at their home arenas and stuff like that. What are your thoughts about this NBA season?
Man, this could possibly be one of the weirdest seasons of all time. I mean, the good thing about the bubble is that everything was confined. It was kind of controlled. Now, when they traveling and going to these other arenas, like it's going to be interaction that wasn't there. So I'm just kind of worried about the health and safety of these players, and hopefully they can finish it. I think it's really going to be survival of the fittest, and whoever can stay healthy and practice good habits, I think, going to come out on top. So, I mean, even more than basketball, it's going to be things that they can't control. So I think that's really what they're faced with this season is just like staying healthy.
And I know you wrote a couple of reports on Giannis. Were you surprised about the extension?
I was surprised at the timing of the extension, but I wasn't surprised by him signing it. You know what I mean? Just knowing how loyal of a person he is and like how much family means to him, his path to the NBA and the Bucks being the first team to take a chance on him. I wasn't surprised by that. I would have been shocked if he went somewhere else because that's really just not in his DNA. He kind of built different where he's not the friendly guy that want to work out with everybody and be friends with the league. And he turned down Space Jam, you know what I mean? Like,
right.
Because he, you know what I mean? Like he didn't want to like let people into his world like that. So I really wasn't shocked by that. It was more so the timing. But I know what that means to Milwaukee, man. And just shout out to Giannis for doing that and keeping the balance around the league strong because, if he would have joined the super team, we would have been right back in the situation that when KD was with the Warriors. So I'm glad that he stayed in Milwaukee.
And that was big that he did turn down Space Jam because obviously if you've seen The Last Dance back in the day, Jordan invited all them cats to Space Jam, but he was also learning everything that they had, and he was able to
Yeah,
go out
yeah.
there and murder them. So,
All right,
I
strategy,
do.
strategy of war a little bit.
Right. I love Giannis' competitive spirit. I do. I love his competitive spirit, and like that keeps the balance. At first, I was a little like Kawhi. Why would you go to the Clippers when you could have had a shot with the leg? But now I see it, and it keeps that balance. We wouldn't be able to discuss as much as we can discuss if it was more one-sided than it's more spread out now.
Yeah.
How did you know? Now you do the NBA, I know that, and I know you have done boxing in Flint. But when you came on the ESPN, was that something that you automatically wanted to do, or was that something thrown your way automatically? But
It was a
coming to boxing,
dream. Yeah, man. Boxing just always been my second favorite sport. Basketball been my passion, my number one, but boxing just always been what I've loved, man. From my dad, us sitting back and watching Roy Jones and Pretty Boy Floyd way back, from Grand
yep.
Rapids, you know what I'm saying? Like that Floyd, that's the ones I remember, that Felix Trinidad and Bernard Hopkins and that era, man. It was just, that my love for boxing always been there. And so when I was at the Flint Journal, I boxing is still pretty big in Flint, and I got an opportunity to be around a young lady, Clarissa Shields, and cover her career. And as I said, Andre Anthony, Chris Bird, it's a lot of guys with boxing experience, and that just kind of getting that experience. And then once I got to ESPN, it was layoffs and cuts and stuff, and I just kind of volunteered to offer whatever I could, and they took a chance on me, so I got a chance to do stuff with Devin Haney and Earl Spence and Terrence Crawford and Roy Jones and Andre Ward, all that stuff. So it's been great, man. I just kind of opened up and expanded, my coverage and being willing to open and just the right opportunity and time. And so that's kind of how that came about.
And lastly, man, I want, before we get out of here, man, I want you to leave some words of encouragement to the youth if you can. My daughter in the background.
Man, you good? It's probably all type of noise around me, so you good, man.
I want you to leave some words of encouragement, man, for the youth, anybody aspiring to be anything, because you carved your path. Like it's that like you said, what Chris Broussard told you, stay home, and if ESPN wants you bad enough, they'll come back and get you. So if you could leave some words of encouragement to the youth, man, if they're aspiring to be anything, what would you say to them?
Man, I would say the number one thing is just believe in yourself, man. There was so many times where, like I mentioned before, when I was in Flint or other places where I feel like, damn, like, is this it for me? You know what I'm saying? I would see other people getting opportunities and things happening for them, and then I would compare my path to them. But once I stopped doing that and comparing my path to everybody else and believe in my vision and what I was doing, that's when the success really happened. You know what I mean? It's like not worrying about what nobody else doing and worrying about what you're doing. And your path is going to be different. I never would have thought in a million years that I would have went to Salt Lake City. Come on, man. Like Salt Lake City coming from Flint, like that ain't even sound right. But now that I look back at it, man, I had to go through that to get to this point. You know what I'm saying? Like that was a great experience for me, and staying in Flint that long, understanding and learning that I can make mistakes. Okay, I did this way. Next time, don't do it that way. You know what I'm saying? Like just learning it on this scale. And by the time I got to the next level, I was ready. Then by the time I got to ESPN, I was ready. So I really had to go through the bumps and bruises and just trust in my own path. And, once I've done that, everything else just kind of took care of itself. But I'm still not satisfied. So, kids as well, stay hungry, stay humble, you know what I'm saying? And just understand your path, your vision, and believe in yourself. No matter who do, you got to believe in yourself. Keep God first, just simple things like that. And same things I tell my son, so that's kind of the position I'm in now, man. I'm still feel like I'm an intern. I'm grinding every day like I ain't done nothing, man. So I'm just ready to get to that next level.
I feel you, man. And before, I appreciate the words of encouragement, man. Before we get out of here, I need a Super Bowl prediction from you. If you have one, I need
it. Man, I'm a Lions fan, man. We trash, you know what I'm saying? So I ain't even gonna get one, man. Until the Lions get there, man, I'm riding with my Lions, man.
You gonna probably have a shock face when I tell you who my squad is, man.
Man, who, man?
Packers all day, man.
The Packers, man, Packers. You can't be for the D, man.
Packers all day, man. I'm telling you, like I don't know what it is. I think I was at 8 or 9 when I saw the Packers first play. And it was Brett Favre at the helm at the time, man. The first time I ever seen Aaron Rodgers play was his very first start against Detroit. Yeah. and I had on the Aaron Rodgers jersey, and I remember my pops was like, "Man, you better not ever do that again." He said, "Don't you ever go to the Lions den wearing an Aaron Rodgers jersey." So never did that again. But I'm
Yeah,
hoping
my
for the
guy
Lions.
Andre Rison was out there though, for a minute. Andre
Yeah,
Rison was with
absolutely.
the Packers. Yeah,
Yeah.
so I rooted for Dre, but that's far as I went with the Packers. And I've been a Lions fan since Barry Sanders. So
I definitely support them. I hope they can turn things around, but until that, we got to stop saying the same old Lions. But I
we
appreciate you,
passionate fans.
Eric.
I say that though. We a passionate fan base, man, for sure.
Listen, man. I don't think if they did a survey, I don't know if anybody could say that the Lions fans are not the most passionate fans in the NFL. I'm serious, man. Through thick and thin, they gonna support. It's always the same thing. Like it's gonna be our year this year. Like Eagles fans are tough. It's a lot of tough tough fan bases out there, but the Lions are loyal. Lions fans are loyal. No matter what people say, I got a lot of Lions family that will be like, "Oh, I ain't watching them this year," and I'll be like, "Yeah, you are," and they just tuned in. So, Eric Woodyard, man, I appreciate you for coming on the show, man, and I would love to have you back again.
Yeah, man, keep in touch, man. Anytime, man.
Absolutely, man. Beyond the Game. I'm your host, Steve. Once again, Eric Woodyard. Appreciate you, man.